What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another video. Today I'm bringing you a video on Kamen Rider Build episode 28. This episode is called The Genius Brought a Tank. And the thing is that this episode overall was really good. It answered a number of questions. It also explained a lot of things that were not really clear up until now. And also it ended the proxy battles that we've been having between Saito and Totoro. So that is very important. We will get into all this and more in this episode review. And it also clarifies things and redeems certain characters. Yes, it does actually redeem a certain character that we've been mentioning in the past two episodes. So, but doesn't like completely redeem that character. It's just there's more of an understanding. Let's just say that much. So anyway, the episode begins with us actually seeing that Rogue comes out of like the dark mist that he was in at the end of the episode. He ends up fighting Sento. Sento's still using rabbit mode against Rogue. And we end up seeing that Rogue ends up using this diamond bottle because what happens is that Utsumi gives data to Rogue, which allows him to counteract the rabbit mode. So every single time Sento tries to do an attack, he can just use like a diamond force field to just kind of block the attack. And so constantly he's being blocked over and over again. So every single time he tries to do something, shield with like diamonds. And at that point, what ends up happening is that eventually Mizura and Ryoga come out of the building. They end up wondering, what's going on here, and eventually Sawa speaks to them, basically explaining that Rogue has data on rabbit mode, and she gave it to Namba to provide to Rogue. And the thing is that what we end up learning about Sawa is that she did this not because she wanted to, but the thing is that initially there was this whole flashback that we ended up seeing where she ends up explaining that originally she lied to them about having her father die in a gas explosion, when in reality she was one of the Namba children. And the thing is that Sento knew this from the start. So it is confirmed, yes, Sento did know from the start that like she was a traitor. She was not going to be someone that was going to be completely honest. But at the same time, we also learn is that initially she was going to, become a smash monster, fight Sento, get destroyed, be done with it. And initially, when it came to being in Totoro, she was supposed to be if she ever was going to get captured, she was supposed to kill herself before that happened. Yet the thing is that clearly Sento was able to convince her, and so were the others, that she should stay alive. And not because they said anything, but because of their actions and because of how they treated her and made her a family and made her feel like she was part of a family. And that was the big difference here, was that she was put under that kind of impression of familial warmth. And because of this, what ends up happening is that she is led to, stay alive. And so there's a sense of trust and understanding. So what does end up happening is that is all clarified. And the thing is that at the same time, it's confirmed that this is all being done. And what we also find out about is following this, Mizura ends up asking, well, why are you doing this if you know that like you're friendly with us? Like Mizura asked that, and the thing is that she basically explains that she's doing this because Naoshima's family is kidnapped, and she's trying to do this because that's the cost here. Like, she's not against them, but she's doing this to save another family's life that we've known before. And so what actually ends up happening is that following this, we end up seeing elsewhere that Kazumi actually goes to save this family. That was the thing that actually happened in the previous episode, where Sawa ended up contacting Kazumi about something. He was supposed to rescue Nabashima's family, and so what the whole entire idea was is that he would rescue their family, and then he could use. And then what happens is that following this, Sento ends up using the tank mode against Rogue. And the thing is that there's no data on tank mode. The only data that they gave was the rabbit mode. And I knew that was going to happen because that's the only way that this would have made sense. And so the thing was is that when it came to Rogue fighting against tank mode, it was not a feasible option for him because he had no data on it. So whatever he thought he knew, he didn't know. And what we ended up learning later on is that basically there was this agreement, and the thing was is that actually Sento was the one that agreed to let them have the data on rabbit mode, but not give them the data on tank mode. And the idea was is that until they knew for sure that Nabashima's family was safe, he would continue to use rabbit mode until it made sense, and then surprise him with this tank mode and completely destroy him. So that was the whole plan here. He knew from the start that this was all, like, he had a setup in mind. He planned it out so perfectly, and he won, you know? So they actually did win in the end, and that's really good. As far as things go, how did he know that Nabashima's family was safe? Mizora does do a signal like this or something, which basically confirms to him that, oh yes, it turns out that Nabashima's family is safe now. So that is all important because Kazumi does end up contacting Sawa. So yes, that all happens. Following this, what we end up seeing is that in the Namba Heavy Industries kind of building, where in the building where we've been seeing the villains lately, what actually happens is that the Prime Minister of... Well, actually, no. I'm doing this in the wrong order. What actually happens is that the Prime Minister of Totoro arrives on the scene, and he offers to let, Gentaku return back to Totoro, but what actually happens is that Gentaku rejects the offer, and he goes off on his own. So he leaves Saito, and he leaves everyone. And again, this is the second time he's done this now. But what this likely means is that, for those who don't know, there's supposed to be a mode that, Rogue is supposed to get later, which is called Mad Rogue. So what most likely will happen is that he'll return at a later point as Mad Rogue. So if you're wondering, when's Mad Rogue going to happen? It's going to happen later on, and it's not going to be some other character. For anyone that was thinking it's going to be another character, no, it should be a power-up mode. It's a mode that's going to be introduced later on, and Gentaku's going to return at some point with it. So we'll have to wait and see what that actually means. As far as when Gentaku will join forces with Totoro, it will be later. That means, it will be when Mad Rogue is a thing, most likely. So keep that in mind. As far as things go from here, we end up seeing that in the area where the Saito Prime Minister and Namba Heavy Industries, Namba himself, end up talking to each other. And the thing is that the Saito Prime Minister initially is told by Namba that he shouldn't give up anything, even though he lost the battle. And the thing is that you should still be able to get the Pandora's bottles, and you just need to get the Totoro bottles. No big deal. And the thing is that the Saito Prime Minister is like, no, we can't just do that. What are you talking about? And so basically what this tells Namba that I guess you're not worth it. I guess you're not someone that we can continue with. So at that point, what actually ends up happening is that Bloodstark arrives. He ends up coming into the room, and he actually sucks the life out of the Saito Prime Minister's body. And what ends up happening from here is that he ends up using his ability to kind of transform the person's appearance on Namba, so that he appears to look like a pretty young, a youthful version of himself. Actually looks more like the Saito Prime Minister, but he's in disguise. So that's kind of an interesting thing, that now we're going to have this character that's Namba in disguise as the Saito Prime Minister. And so that's going to be a very, very important thing, obviously, in the future, because now Namba's not going to be a young person anymore. Namba's not going to be an old person anymore. He's going to be a young person, which means that now he can do a lot more. Now, if he wants to fight, he can do that because he's not like a weak old man anymore. He's actually a pretty strong young chap now, a young person. Why did I say chap? You know what I mean? So that's very important. What we do end up seeing is that from here, what do you call it? Mizora, we end up seeing back where they were fighting and everything, that Mizora slaps Sawa across the face, saying like, that's how I feel right now for what you did for betraying us. And then she gives her a hug. Because the thing is that there's a sense of distrust, but there's also a sense of like she's doing it for a good cause. So in other words, Sawa is not disappearing. She's not going anywhere. She's done with Namba. She's completely done with Namba. She's gonna stay on their side. She's not gonna align with him at all. She's gonna be a good character now, and she has no ties to Namba anymore. She may have history with Namba, but she has no ties in that sense of actually being a traitor anymore. At least that's what we know of so far. Obviously, could it change at some point? You never know. But I'm not expecting it to. It's unlikely personally, but we'll have to wait and see for sure. As far as things go from here, we also end up seeing that back at where we ended up seeing Namba reveal himself as this younger version of the Sento Prime Minister, we end up seeing that Namba's forces will now completely take over, and he is going to use his Namba, robots that he has to fight against Sento and the others. And in the preview clip, we actually see that there's going to be several of these specific types of robots. I mean, like a huge army of them. In comparison to anything else, like these are just massive droves of armies, and it's going to be a really crazy scenario. So basically, the war ain't ending anytime soon. It's only going to get worse from here. So keep that in mind. Yes, this episode overall, again, as I said before, very cool. Bloodstark is going to now take over. He is going to be leading the charge now, so definitely going to be an interesting thing to see where things will go from here. We don't know about any like specific characters. Like you might remember how there was the the Washio Bros, and then before that there was the Hokuto Trio. There isn't like any specific type of like duo or trio for this next arc, at least as of now, but we'll have to wait and see. You never know, they might announce someone last minute, or maybe there isn't one. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. I don't want to assume anything until we have absolute certainty, so keep it in mind. I love Sneaker's opinions. What did you guys think of this episode? I personally did enjoy it a lot. I'm now glad that Sawa actually had a real reason to betray Namba, and also to betray them initially, because she wasn't doing it because she hated them, but because she was trying to actually save some other lives. I like that aspect of it, because it makes you think she's a bad person, when in reality she's not a bad person. She's doing it for a good reason. So keep that in mind. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, guys.